Hi, my name is Sally Bernard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. It's time to trust your intuition. This is your inner knowings. Through questions and points of conversation, I can help others feel empowered. With the ability to touch people's past lives, I help others connect and not feel alone. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Here I am. It's this time of the day, and it's Monday at 3 o'clock. Okay, we have a nice selection of people in the audience today, and hopefully you guys will call in to ask me some questions. So I'm all ready to answer. I feel my collective is here. Do we have a question in the audience?
Yes, Sally. About 6 months ago, you and I attended an event in Coral Springs, the Long Island Medium, and at one point in her event, she walked over to our section, and in our small section, she asked how many people have recently lost a son. And I thought it was amazing and uncanny how at least 24 people in our little section lost a son, and she was bringing messages to some. How does that happen?
Well, as you know, I'm able to do this, and I feel the frequency as she did. And they're also able to do this on the other side. So they kind of, if you want to say, put everybody together in order to, they knew the ones, their sons were there on the other side that were able to come through. So as we actually had tickets to go into that section, so did everybody else. So she could feel the energy of people that were walking into that particular part of the theater. So we were all accumulating together. So she felt very comfortable to give the messages to the people that were there, to either the parents, a relative that was sitting there. And as you know, it came through beautifully. I know, and you had lost a son, Steve, and I know that your son was there. You were not ready at that point. It was quite a few months ago to stand up, but I feel very sure that he was able to give you a message which you could relate to. You just didn't make it known to everybody in the public. But that's how it works. They accumulate together, just as we do here. People that have lost children seem to be coming to me. I lost my daughter a little while ago. They seem to be coming into the studio here. They kind of connect with us, so they're able to pass their messages on to us that they are okay. Does that kind of answer the question a little bit to you?
Yes, it does. And that event was just one of many validations that have brought me to the point that I'm at now in understanding where you're coming from.
Absolutely. And I mean, to me, I didn't know, so I thought a whole lot about this. And to say surprised in the beginning, yes, absolutely. I have a friend of mine here who's in the studio right now who I've known for 30 years. When she first met me, I did not know that I was able to do this. However, over the years, I began to start to give you messages. Margaret, as you know, as she's sitting here now, I was surprised. But as I've continued my journey, I'm beginning to understand so much more, and I'm picking up on so much more, even more than I was in the beginning. I seem to be getting messages a lot during the day even too. I'm getting premonitions. I'm not special, and I say this many times. I do believe that each and every one of us are able to do this, but sometimes the timing isn't right for the person. I believe in past lives. I believe that this lifetime I was going to wake up again to help other people. We can all do this to an extent, but sometimes the time is not right for us to do it. Maybe in our next lifetime, if you believe in other lifetimes, which I do, that might be when we begin to open up. To me, it's been a great comfort, especially as if you've been following my show. I lost my daughter about 6 months ago, but I know that she is there. She's able to give me messages through music, through signs, through things that I see, little plaques that I see. And I get the validation that I need to know that she's okay. Just as I'd like to tell everybody else, having lost not necessarily a child or any loved one, They are able to transmit to us. We just got to look for those messages. You saw it loud and clear on the show that we went to with the Long Island medium. You see how that works.
Yes, and a moment ago you said that we all have the power to do this. And I think you've seen that I may be developing some psychic ability.
100%, Steve, absolutely. Because I met you 22 years ago. You were not ready. I was just beginning to open up to this. I wasn't ready to share my experiences with you. However, 22 years later, we both are ready to go on this journey. I'm going to say, and it's not ego, but I'm a little advanced because I've been doing this now for 10, 15 years, so I'm able to show you. But boy, you're catching up with me pretty quickly here, okay? For anybody that knows Steve, and he was on my show a couple of times, he's really getting to understand this, and I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you very much. It's been like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Okay, a little humor. It's always good. You know, I love humor and I love to laugh. So as much as this is a serious topic, it's also with humor. I believe that to be able to express that humor is very, very important, even with departed loved ones. They want us to do that. They want us to be happy. I feel that. I hear my daughter many times, especially when I come into the studio here. I feel her. So we have a few people today. There is another lady that just lost her son a little while ago. So I believe that the same thing is happening here, exactly what we're talking about. Over the last 3.5 months, I've been at the Brooklyn Cafe. I say unfortunately because it's hard for us, but I have met quite a few people that have lost their children within the same time frame as my daughter, which is only 6 to 7 months ago. It's coincidence, but it's not coincidence. No, it's not coincidence. They're bringing them here. They're bringing just to let us know that they are okay. And it's happened here in the studio in front of my eyes, and everybody that's sitting here has seen that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm waiting for a question.
Use your mic.
Hi.
Okay.
I have a question.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Truly.
Hi, Truly.
Nice to meet you today.
And you too.
I did not plan on being here this long. I was leaving after I ate. I was going to eat and run.
But I made you stay, right?
But you made me stay.
And I'm glad.
Short of grabbing the bumper on my car.
Okay.
So I shared with you that I lost a son.
Yes.
I lost a son on April 10th of this year. And my life has spiraled down, dark.
Mm-hmm.
I told you he had an identical twin.
Yes.
Something isn't right with everything that happened. I'm missing communication from my grandchild, who's just turned 3. And I'm like, I don't know what to do.
This is your son's child you're talking about, not your twin, the twin.
The
This
twin
is your
that passed away.
Yes, the twin passed away, but the one that's still here, this is not his child.
No,
it's
no,
just,
no.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So your question, could you just give it to me again? So
Okay. Well, the question is, I'm lost, and I don't know how I'm moving forward with this loss.
Okay, from what I feel and what I understand, even from the last part of the segment that we just did, it's not by coincidence that you're here,
No.
okay? You can see that.
I know
your
that.
son passed my daughter passed a month after your son. That cannot be accidental. They are here. I do want to tell you that your son is here. He's watching over you. It's hard. I mean, I started my show a month after my daughter passed, but because of my belief is so strong, I feel that I'm getting messages and I'm able to pass this on. So what I'm saying to you, I hope it helps you to know that he is around you. I can't make light of this. It's very hard for us. However, just know that you are being guided. There are
Okay.
things because of the way that you are right now. I believe in a higher, I'm a very positive person. People that know me believe that. And I believe we have to raise our vibrations a little bit, and even in order to be able to do what I'm doing. I feel that you're on a journey, and this is unfortunately what has happened on your journey, but it's a journey, okay? It's a learning process. I can't make your pain go away, and I wouldn't even attempt to, but just be aware that he is around you. He is. How are you here? How are you meeting me? We met within 2 minutes of me walking into this studio.
True.
You told me your story. I didn't tell you who I was before I even mentioned that my daughter had passed.
I noticed that.
How is that coincidental? It's not. Just know that he is here with you.
I feel his presence.
Please
I,
feel good
I
about
do.
this. Please.
I'm just not hearing
They're
the
together.
message.
As Steve has lost a son too, I feel that their presence is very much around us. I mean, it's hard to understand because we're actually what we call a lower vibrational energy here. But if you can just lift it a little bit, even by being in here, I feel that happens to me when I walk into the studio. That's why I'm meeting people. You're not the first lady that I have met that's lost a child within a few weeks of my losing my daughter. They're working for us. They're helping us.
I'm
if that
very
helps you.
spiritual. I am.
I know. I feel
And
that.
I was sitting in an AA meeting one
Okay.
morning on the beach and shared about my son. And
Okay.
the next 3 people that shared had also lost a son.
So now you see how
So,
that works, and
yeah.
you know from being in a program.
And you don't
too.
want that. Yeah, you don't want that pain for anybody else. But it.
Well,
Anyway,
we express it by helping other people,
Yes.
and that's what I'm hoping to do here. You met me. I can't tell you that I'm any different from anybody else, but I feel, because I'm an empath, so I felt that pain. But I'm here also, hopefully, by just meeting me and being on the show today, is making you see a little bit more of the situation, how they're here helping us right now, even with Steve's question. We were with the Long Island Medium in a theater, and yet we all accumulated together. It wasn't daughters, it was sons that had
Right.
been lost. About 6 or 7 people in the same section in an auditorium that held about 1,000 people. How were they all together in that section? It works. That's their way of also telling us they're still around.
well,
They're
my
still
heart went from racing a lot to feeling very at ease sitting
Good.
here. So thank you
Good.
for.
Thank you, and
convincing me
thank
to
you for
stay.
staying. I
Okay.
knew I had to tell you to stay, and you did. Thank
I
you.
did.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question, and I also have something that I wanted to expand upon because I kind of feel, even though I'm not of the same abilities that you have, but the frequency and law of attraction, and I'm single, never married, no kids. So my losses have been with my father, a huge family of great aunts and uncles and whatnot. But I learned, I call it being connected. Some people might call it being, awakened or truth or seeing the light or whatever. Everybody has a different term for it. But for me, back in 2007-ish, 2008, I became connected and realized the power that we have within us to be able to change, attract, and shift our paradigm or our purview of what's affecting us in life. And not that this is an easy thing for me to say when people have lost sons or daughters, because I don't know what that is to have that, but losing a father and other family members and whatnot. But I apply it across the board in my life. And it's simply, there's no such thing as a negative outcome.
Right.
And that's hard for someone to hear right at that point. But even like with my father or whatever, there's such an amazing and empowering thing to get from that. And like you said, you feel their presence, you know that they're here, you know that they're guiding them. And that's so apparent because I've had that happen to me through my dad passing and other people sending me messages and whatnot. And like for her, for you, for Steve, and anybody that's lost somebody, that connection, or as she said, she's not sure what to do. She's actually being shown what to do without her
Exactly.
realizing it because she got put into a different paradigm with meeting you, with meeting him. And that happens constantly, especially in my line of work. It's on a different scale. It's a different subject matter, but I've been saved from countless horrific business deals by them not happening, or being introduced to someone and they can talk my ear off and I'm just like, yeah, that's I can just tell
Right.
something's not right here, or we'll let this follow through, a little bit of patience. My God, how many times in the music industry I've been signed or not signed, or this record deal goes bad or that record deal, and it's feast or famine. One minute I'm living in a multi-million-dollar house and I'm living in my car and I'm moving here and I'm going there, and then it's auditions. And and now I see the same thing with a lot of other people, and I've been doing a lot of life coaching with my artists and people that I'm surrounded by, and it's very much in tune with exactly what you said, just like similar to how we met. We really didn't need to say
Yeah.
much to each other today.
Exactly. Actually, I didn't want to interrupt you, but that was the vibrations, the energy that had gone to a higher frequency.
Sure. And but I'll get to my question now that I've kind of like expanded on what I wanted to say, but I connected with it, so I felt that I
Okay.
should
No,
say
that's
it.
fine.
When you're doing any type of reading or centering or attachment to tap into whatever that person wants to know, and then you compare it to yourself, do you find that it's easier to tap into someone else's energy and help them, or yourself? Because sometimes we're able to help others quicker and more efficiently than we're able to actually help ourselves.
Well, actually, to explain that, I actually have, and I'm certain of this, a collective around me. So within that collective, if I'm asked a particular question, it's like even sitting here, someone asks me, they will bring someone in that I can actually hear. It's hard to explain, but it's telepathic, that will be able to answer the question. It's not necessarily me. I believe we have a higher self, which I'm contacting, being on a higher vibrational energy, which I know you understand, because within 2 or 3 minutes of our conversation together, I said I can totally relate to what you're saying. Sure. That was not coincidence. I knew exactly what you were talking about, vibrational energy. So I'm able to lift my vibration higher, and through that, I can my collective comes in and can talk to me. So if you had a particular question, so to speak, me personally sitting here without doing that, although I don't go into a trance, I don't believe, but they are channeling me, that I may not know the answer, but I'm very aware that I'm going to be given that answer, if that makes sense to you. So what your question is not necessarily me. I'm channeling someone within a collective that's coming in. Just like here, they have certain things that they can do there, like certain people can do things here. Not everybody knows everything, but I'm able to hear them. So in answer to the question, I personally, although my higher self is in contact with them, I can give you the answer. Otherwise, I can't explain it in any other way. How am I able to do this? It's
Right.
not me. I don't have all the answers.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I was just curious because,
No.
so what you're saying is you use it like a third-party medium or
Yes,
or
I'm
like,
a channeler to these people.
right, yeah, and within that, you're able to potentially get an answer for that person, for a third party.
Yes.
All right. But
Yes.
have you ever looked at that internally for within? Have you gotten answers for yourself without thinking about it, or do you
Yeah.
have to go into that same
No.
mindset, so to speak?
No, I get answers for myself. I sometimes do. I get like premonitions, which is something I actually did share with you. I won't go into detail on this, but I saw a scenario of exactly what we were talking about. I saw about under a year ago. You were explaining certain things to me about your business and what you did. Right away, I tapped into what I had, let's call it a premonition, and saw everything that you were telling me. I knew it was my message because it showed my art and it showed many things. I just didn't know at that particular time where it was going.
Right.
So when I met you, I totally related to what you were talking about. So that message was for me, and you validated that for me.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Sally, for people who like yourself, when you lose a loved one and you go through grief and things are just spiraling out of control, there's a message to be had when you go through these things. How does one overcome the grief so you can start looking at the messages to heal?
Well, that actually is, it's, everybody relates to this slightly differently, Freddie. Because I was aware of certain things, I had no doubt in my mind that my daughter would contact me. I didn't know when, I didn't know how, but I had been, as you say, maybe trained for many years from people that know me through my guide Aldo, who was here physically. But everybody, if you're not ready, I'm not saying that the messages aren't there, but you're not necessarily ready to hear them. They can try and give you something, just little things, or a song might come on the radio, which many people, and I did many years ago, passed it off as coincidence. But the more I go on my journey and the more I realize that they're trying to contact me, that it has more meaning. Up to a point, you've got to be ready. You've got to be open. You don't have to necessarily even believe it, but just know that there is something greater than us going on in this world. There definitely is, as far as I'm concerned. Otherwise, I wouldn't have picked up on it.
But then anybody, if you are paying attention, has the ability to use it also to heal. Because, I think that the biggest part of grief is feeling like they aren't here anymore, although they're not physically here anymore. Same thing that Chica was saying. Sometimes guidance happens on some of the things that do not happen. That's a famous saying. Sometimes the best things in life are the things that don't happen, because you don't walk into making a bad deal or make a deal. And I can relate to what you're saying. I lost my parents not too long ago, and I feel my father's wisdom and my mother's sensibility in the things that I do now. It's just different. So I'm just trying to understand, because you're about the 8th person we've had to come in here to have lost a child. Not a parent, but a child. And that's tough. Because they always say, my mother used to always say, a parent is not supposed to bury their kids. But to overcome grief so that you can start healing, I think it's a magical formula. But is it available in all of us? Do we all have that ability?
It's available, yes. Again, I always say I'm not special, but I opened up to this. And for me, this is tremendous validation for me too, because it's sad to lose a child. You go before your child. And yet I've only been here 3.5 months in this studio, Freddie. They're coming together on the other side. How am I meeting someone? Every other week that I come here every week, so I'm not saying it's every week, but every other week nearly that I come into this studio, someone, unfortunately I'm going to say, but they're giving me messages, has lost a child. Not only have they lost a child, the child has passed within maybe a month or two of my own daughter passing. I can't pass that off as other than anything, but they're trying to give us all a message. They're sending people in here, into the studio where I am, and I'm able to voice myself on the program to say, please look at this. Just look for the sign. They give us signs all the time. And again, not everyone is as advanced on the other side. It's like you carry on from where you are here once you pass over. But they're getting help too from other people to say, look, here's Sally, let's say, let's use it as that. Go in there, you'll see more. They'll begin to open up. It could be a word, it could be anything. But I feel that at this point, I'm an instrument to help these people. And I don't know where I'm going with this. I love what I'm doing and I love to help people. But I'm feeling that it's something to do with what we're discussing right now, to help people get over their grief. Any loved one is grief. It doesn't matter. My stepmother passed away. She was nearly 100. I felt the same. But somehow a child, even an adult child, is slightly different because they're not meant to go before you. But I'm feeling very strongly now, for myself personally, I need to help to just show by example what I'm experiencing, how they're coming to me in this studio. This isn't coincidence.
And I've personally seen you have experiences where you've received messages from Louise.
Many. You've seen that, Steve, as you came on my show when I couldn't talk the other week. and mention that. I've had my daughter's name is Louise, and I've had many, many signs from her, many, as you have from your son. I mean, I've told you a few things that I feel that they've connected. We have their 2 pictures in my home together, right next to each other. Can I prove this? No, but I can prove it by telling people what we're experiencing, how we all accumulate together. I mean, it's to help, to put it on a higher frequency. It's sad, you never get over the loss of anyone that you love, but it's to give us strength here, to show people that there is more than just being a human here on earth. There is so much more going on. I'm being guided with what I'm saying right now, but just begin to open, which you have, and I know that too, but for anybody listening, they're going, how can that be possible? I can't prove to you that it's possible, but I can only show you by example what's happened to me. Even to the fact that I started to paint. I was never an artist. Today I have, from 15 years ago, about 150 pieces of art, never having a lesson, and I can draw with my eyes closed, with poetry. Am I special? No, I'm not special. I opened up to this. So just to help people the way that I feel now that I'm an instrument to help people, just look for the signs. Look for even a billboard, anything, or a car with a name on it. Just look. That's their way. How else can they communicate with you? They're communicating through signs, through words. But if you can't hear them, they'll show you other things too.
And the more of those things that I see helps me to move forward in my acceptance and my learning of everything you're teaching. Could you just tell your audience about the hats at that store on Meisner Park?
Yes. That was I mean, I was having lunch with a girlfriend of mine in Meisner Park, and I actually had hurt my foot, so I couldn't really walk too far. She said to me she just wanted to go into like a gift store where they had many things. So I said, okay, but I'm going to have to sit down because my toe's hurting me. So we go into this store, and I'm sitting down, and something told me to move to a chair that was three chairs away. So I'm sitting on this chair, and I suddenly look up and I see hats in there with little things on the hat. And it wasn't a hat store, or a cap store, but as I looked up, it said, "Love your mother." And I was going, that's unusual, love your mother. And right next door, next to that hat, was another hat, and it said Louise. That was my daughter's name. From nowhere, I'm sitting on a chair because I couldn't move, my foot was hurting, and I see these 2 caps, I love you, mother, and then something similar to that, and then Louise. Even I was surprised, but I was led to that. She was giving me a message, and I've seen a few more like that too. And I think we have only a second, and we're going to break, but please stay around, and we'll be back in a few minutes, and I'll continue with your questions. Thank you. Okay, was that a...
A true story, Call Me Zena is the telling of Sally Bernard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
This world, this life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real, and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask. Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace. Go with love. Go as one. Zena. You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Bernard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you could always seek me out for resources. Visit artbysallybernard.com today. Now, back to the show. Hi, I'm back. Hello. I think we have a question from my friend Margaret.
Yes, Sally, we've been friends for many, many years. I've been around you when a lot of things have happened, but I've never spoken about something that I think about. I was raised as an only child. Unfortunately, my mother had a baby, and it was stillborn. And I don't think I was even a teenager. I was young. And everybody in the family was upset. And even to this day, I think about Gillian, which her name was, we named her. And I wonder now that my parents are there, is she with them?
Absolutely, Margaret. And I've known you for many, many years. And only, I think, twice in our whole time of knowing each other for 30 years have you ever brought this forward. She is here. She's with you. She's in spirit. Even if it's a stillborn birth, that child has materialized and has come in here. Even once, well, that's another topic about whether a baby is a baby still in the womb, but a child is in spirit once they come here. That was their choice. So yes, she's around you. Absolutely. She's with your mother and father. One of the things that we do, unfortunately, many years ago, people used to do this. If you have a tragedy like that, it's a tragedy, it's terrible, you do not mention it. As you had mentioned many years ago to me, you don't talk about it. That's not what they want. They want you to, even if they're here for a day, they want you to feel them, to love them. They love you and will never stop loving you. She's here with you in spirit, Margaret. She is around you, absolutely. And she is helping you too. You know that.
Yes.
Talk to her. Although it was what they called taboo many years ago, don't mention it, it was a tragedy. No, from what I understand, talk to her, say you feel her, because you will. As you start to talk to her, you will feel her presence. Although she's not here and was not here, I believe, was she stillborn or I can't remember.
Yes,
okay, but she was here.
In those days,
Yeah, they didn't.
you had midwives, you didn't have
No.
hospital. Maybe if she'd been in a hospital, it could have been.
But that
safe,
was her
but
choice. You know
right,
me well
yeah.
enough to be able to tell you that. That was her choice. She came for a reason. You know, sometimes, and we say this and it sounds crazy, I know, a child is born and it's not their time. They suddenly wake up and say, this is not where I want to be. I want to come in another time. Not ready. Sometimes children come in to teach their parents something. Your sister came in, and I can't tell you the reasons, but she came in for a reason and departed for a reason. But don't forget her memory. Don't forget that she was here. Talk to her, Margaret. Talk to her. Okay? Although it's many, many years ago, she still feels you and will be here around you, okay? And I know it's sad, and I'm sorry that you, but to express the emotion that you're expressing now is good too, because she's feeling you. She can feel that. She knows that she's coming through to you. She's around you. In fact, I sense her presence. And I've never said this to you. I'm getting, as everybody says on my show, my famous goosebumps. I'm getting the goosebumps. She's with you. Jillian, was that her name? Jillian? Okay, Jillian is here. Okay, feel good. Just know you're not, well, you know you're not alone. Not me anyway, but you're not alone, okay? Thank you. Thank you, Margaret, for sharing that. Do we have another question for anyone in the studio?
Just yesterday, when I was working, and then we spoke on the phone, and I told you about some clients that I was working with, and they were listening to the presentation, and you said to me, is one of their names Cleveland? And miraculously, that was the man's name, Cleveland. How do you get these messages?
I don't know. I don't know, but it just comes to me. And in fact, I said C because I thought if I said Cleveland, which is a very dear name to me, that was my maiden name, you'd think I was at this point, you're not going to think I'm absolutely crazy, but I knew that, Steve. I mean, sometimes the validation for you is when I actually explain the whole thing and exactly what you're saying to me. But I don't know. I don't know that I'm getting more and more of these messages. The more I do this and the more I talk on the show, I'm attracting everybody into my life of what I'm feeling very strongly now. I mean, we don't always talk about departed people, but, you know, I've mentioned my daughter. We talk about a whole lot of other things, but that's not coincidence today that this is the topic either. I don't know any more than anyone else. I am an instrument. I can do this today.
What do you think the message means if you hear a name? Like I said to Margaret today, a name. I have no idea what that name is connected to anything or what Cleveland means.
It's a way of opening up our channel because you begin to think about it. And maybe you won't get that right away, Dawn, but I felt that when we first met. Just, where is my painting with the little, up to here, okay, with the little stars. What do you come on the show with every single day? A wand with that star. I hadn't seen your show. Well, maybe once, but I didn't. So we begin to open up a little bit. These signs are all around us all the time. So when we start to think about a name, it's not only connected with one or two people. You'll find that 2, 3, 4 people have that same name, as again with us too when we first met. The names, I think the names are very significant actually. It's a validation. We don't always see that validation, but it is a validation that they're around. This whole journey is to let us know we're not on our own and to open up and not, yes, we all have problems in life, but it makes it a little bit easier when we know that we have people around us that are helping us. But you've got to ask for help. That's all you need to do. And then believe a little bit that they're helping us. And they will. They will. There's a little pause, but someone's going to come up with a question in a minute.
Well, I was gonna chime in again. I just didn't want to step
Please
on,
do.
any,
No, please
on
do.
any toes. But I happen to be in such sync with you because we're talking about frequency, and I keep feeling her over here when she was saying she was spiraling and so on and so forth. And again, it's nothing that I can personally relate to because I don't have any children, but it's in the essence of other things. So instead of a child, a product or a song, I could see and hear music in color sometimes. This happened after 2 concussions. So whether that was just by coincidence, timing, or my brain having to use different neural pathways to process sound or sight or different thought processes while I was writing a lyric or putting down a vocal or creating a piano part or a drum rhythm pattern or something like that. But when I would close my eyes, I started to be able to like conceptualize in color, right? And what this has to do with, sorry for the long way around, but whenever I was talking to her on the break, I said, you know, I didn't necessarily know if this topic was going to be this, it just happened to come up. But I said to her, well, to me, it's a no-brainer why she's receiving so many different people that are in search of an answer, or comfort or a direction when it comes to the loss of a child, because her frequency is so powerful emotionally, right? So a lot of people say you are what you think. Okay, well, that's great, but you can also psych yourself out by thinking one thing, and that's not really reality. Emotions are so much more powerful when it comes to putting out a thought. That's why, like, you cuss at somebody, you say the F word, and it's in anger. That's a lot different than joking around and saying the F word and just like teasing, right? So you can be mad at somebody, but when you really get there, that emotion really plants it out there, which is why so many people stay inside of a negative or a lower space when it comes to frequencies of sadness, depression, fear, guilt, loss, etc. But when you can get out of the specifics and into generalities, then you can start to shift your paradigm and get into healing. And that's what we were talking about anyway during the break. But
Can I just say, the topic today that we were talking about was unfortunately the loss of children, because you actually had,
Yeah.
this is the first time I met you.
Yeah.
We accumulated here together, as
Yeah.
has happened. But it can be many, this is maybe the second or third time that I've had this, but I've had many other scenarios. As long as you are operating, which I know that you understand, from a higher frequency, you will find, as I have, I mean, not necessarily, but I'm aware of it, that whatever, let's say, I'm thinking of or what I might want to do, because that happened between us today.
oh no, I agree. That's what I'm
So,
saying. I agree with
yes,
you 100%. I'm
absolutely.
like, even though that was the topic, I can still relate, even though I
Exactly.
don't have any children. I relate to it in other different ways.
But you know, whatever I might be looking for in my life, which is about to happen, you presented something to me, which I saw that whole scenario 6 or 7 months ago, exactly what
Yeah.
you were saying. So we are attracting each other and other people here. Perhaps there was a party here today that could relate to that too.
Sure.
So it's not just one particular, and I know you understand that, just to make sure that the viewers understand this too. It's not necessarily one particular scenario. It's many scenarios that will be beneficial, say, for me and for you,
Oh, for
and for
sure.
the other people in this particular time.
Many topics across
many
the board.
topics,
Yeah,
many.
if I misled what I was saying, I
No,
didn't
no.
mean to do that.
No, you didn't. You explained it very, very well. But just to clarify it with the viewers too, because they might think that my only topic is to talk about departed children.
Oh, no,
which
definitely.
I'm happy to do.
Definitely a disclaimer. Should just
But
not
it's
just.
no, that's all right. And I, you know, again, we have to have humor over that. So again, it's many different scenarios. What you presented to me, you didn't know me, but within a few minutes, and that's a very good indication of how this works. I knew, and I know you knew what we were talking about. Now, 10 other people, and it doesn't mean to say there's anything wrong with those 10 other people, they
They may
just
not get
weren't
it. They're not
there,
gonna get it.
will not be able to relate to what you were talking about. We were talking about being on a slightly higher vibration and to put it into music, onto canvas, into songs. I see that. I know that because I've done that. So we didn't meet by accident, so to speak. Thank you. But no, you presented it well, as I hope I am too.
Oh yeah, no. The exclamation point I wanted to put on it was like I'm connecting so much more than you would anybody else would think, even though it's not their specific topic.
I know
because
that.
when it
Yeah.
comes to frequency, it's not about the topic; it's about the actual the emotion that you're trying to tap into. It's
Yes,
connected to
and
that.
I always call that like a scenario because we all have our own scenarios
Right.
into that. But somehow when you're acting or vibrating on a slightly high, it doesn't have to be way up there, but a slightly higher frequency, you attract. You definitely do, as the law of attraction, which you had mentioned, or also into The Secret, which you had talked about. I know that. I feel it and know that and understand that today. I didn't, but I do now. Thank you.
Sally, does the same frequencies on different people, does that attract them, not physically, but does it attract them at a certain level that they understand each other? And how do you know when somebody has that same, for lack of a better word, that same frequency?
Love it. You ask. I love your questions, Freddie. Yes, because that's important too. A lot of things, if you're not vibrating from the same frequency as someone, you are not going to understand you're not. Whatever anybody will say, it won't make sense. But if you can, I mean, I'm not always on a higher frequency, but when I have somebody that's hitting the frequency, so to speak, that I can get up to, I will meet that person and I will understand what that person is talking about. Again, I'm not saying that I am so special that I can do that, but I'm able to do that. Whereas someone can be standing right next to me and won't have a clue what we're talking about, nothing. But I will feel it, know it, and so will that person. Doesn't make them a bad person, they're just not there at that point. And that can happen at any time in this life, in the next. I hit a higher frequency through the help of my guide over 18 years that taught me that. I didn't understand. Well, I did, but I didn't remember that I understood it. So you attract from that frequency. We don't always hold that frequency. What we can get to it at any point that we need it. We just attract on it's like a radio. It's like a television. Like I used to say AM and FM. If you turn on to FM, it's going to attract the people that are listening on FM. The people that are on AM, and I don't know too much about this, but it's coming to me, on AM are not going to hear the FM, if that makes sense. It's the same thing. It works through energy and electricity. We are energy. We're energy. So we attract the energy that's hitting us. Does that answer pretty much? Okay.
So would you say that with my son having passed 8 years ago and Aldo, your guide, having passed on my birthday, is it possible that we were brought together not for the sole purpose, but for one purpose of me helping you through your loss, knowing what I had been through?
Yes, that's a good question. There's a yes, but there's another part to that question, Steve. I believe that when we come in, we have contracts with each other. Now, we don't always, because as I believe, there is no time on the other side. We make time here. So we had a contract to meet one another. We met 22 years ago. It wasn't the same as it is now. So during that period, you happen to have lost a son. I happen to have lost a daughter. They were able, as far as I know, to know part of our contract. I can't prove that, but I think they knew that we should be together. Again, I can't prove that. So they came in, as Aldo did. Aldo was advanced in this world, as you know. He was my guide here on earth. But he knew when he passed, and the fact that he passed on your birthday, and I didn't even know the significance of that, was not, I can't tell you, was not accidental, only he knows the answer, but I feel it wasn't accidental. The reason was to open me a little bit. He should pass on the same day as your birthday. Yes, that can happen, but too much happened after that. So we're fulfilling a contract that we had with each other. They have come in to help us. My son, your son, excuse me, my daughter, Aldo, and anybody else that has read our contract are helping us at this particular point in our life. Again, I can't prove any of this. It's what I feel. How am I able to hear them? I mean, I can get names of departed people, first and last names. That's validation for me because it sounds crazy, but it's not. How do I do that? I don't know, but I can. So we had that contract and we're fulfilling that contract now, and they helped us.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? We still have a little bit of time.
Do you come into this life with your soul contract from a past life?
It can include your past life into that. We come in with a contract, which we talk about when we're not here, let's say on the other side, but we can bring in aspects in our contract of things that haven't been settled completely in a previous life or many lifetimes ago, because we're on a journey. We're on a journey of self-discovery to understand this. I call it an illusion. But as we go, karma to me is a little different to what people talk about karma, but we fulfill karma. So if something happened maybe 4 lifetimes ago, we may not bring it in the next lifetime, but we will bring it in. So we sign a contract, so to speak, or we verbalize, I don't know what we do, but we make a contract of what's going to happen in this particular lifetime. We try, we don't always, as far as I can hear right now, fulfill everything that we have decided in this lifetime in our contract. But when we'll bring it in another time, we have plenty of time. We're not in a hurry. We leave, we come back, we leave, we come back. Eventually, and I won't go into that because I don't completely understand it, we stop. But that can be many, many, many different lifetimes now. From going back to, I don't know, from what Aldo told me. And he was very advanced, very advanced. That was my guide who found me in this particular lifetime. For people that don't know, I had a guide that came in and found me eventually and taught me a lot over the last 18 years.
Do you ever wonder why you were chosen to have such an amazing guide?
Okay, it was my time to begin to wake up again, to remember. We don't remember, and no need to remember all our lifetimes, but from a very prominent lifetime, which I talk about, I haven't actually got into in detail. Aldo was in my lifetime at that point. He knew that he had to come into this lifetime because I was dormant. I came in and didn't remember a lot, but I chose to begin to wake up in this lifetime. He knew, and so to speak, he'd gone into the book of records and knew that I was ready to wake up again. So he came in to help me. He knew from the age of 1 year old. He was reading and writing and thought everybody could do that. He looked for me in this lifetime. It's hard to understand, but I was a reciprocant of that, and I know it.
Sally, do we all have a guide?
Every one of us has a guide. Yes, Freddie, we do.
We have more than one.
Yes, we have several. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know when, yeah, go ahead.
So would you say you have another good friend, Marita, who you've told me you have had conversations with her that lasted for hours, that went into the deep, collective material. Could she have been a partial guide for you as well, or you her?
She wasn't my guide, but we were on the same vibrational energy. And actually, the three of us, Marita, myself, and Aldo, used to talk for hours and hours. He was teaching her as he was teaching me. But primarily, I knew him a lot longer than Marita. So I got more of, she learned a lot too. But Marita and I were on the same energy, and still are, actually. But, we've chosen to go different ways on how we present this. I originally actually wanted her on this show with me. It wasn't in our contracts to do that. And I'm happy that I'm doing this. Do I know that she knows as much as me? Absolutely. But I was meant to do this on my own with the people that I have met here. And, she does her thing too, but we'll always be best friends.
Okay.
Is that one of your designs on your dress?
No, it's not, but it's very similar, though. I do this type of thing. Yes.
Do you ever wonder why you do linear line drawings?
Dawn, I don't have a clue, to be honest with you. I love doing it, and I as I'm drawing, I find myself I don't meditate like people say that they breathe, but I do meditate, I think, when I'm drawing, and I'm getting all these messages to me. And it gives me great pleasure just to do lines. I mean, it looks like I've used a ruler. I never erase anything. I don't. I never do anything. I can do it with my eyes closed. Again, it's something that I chose to do, maybe to validate what I'm saying, because I don't know, if someone told me they were doing this, I probably wouldn't believe them, but I'm doing it. So it validates for me that I've lifted my vibrations a little bit more.
And also, you have no idea what you're painting while you're painting it.
Not a clue. No, I don't know. I mean, I can be blindfolded until I look at the canvas. And some of my earlier work, of course, Aldo interpreted, which is very different to the work that I do today, which had signs and symbols from many lifetimes ago. I had never seen this, and I bring this up because I think it's important that I'm drawing signs, symbols, and people from hundreds of years ago that I have never seen in this lifetime. And then I go into the internet and see my art, my sketching, which Aldo told me to do. I was stubborn. I didn't wake up, but I was ready to. And when I suddenly see all these designs of the symbols of things from years ago that I have in my head that I'm drawing without even knowing what I'm drawing, it's an important message. It's an important message for people to hear this. Believe that anything is possible. That's part of what I say. Anything, if you believe it, is possible. Believe. Please believe. It's not religion. It's just, I can't make people understand this. I can only show them by my example of what's happened to me. And if you choose to follow it, great. If you don't, maybe it just wasn't your time. But I know myself, I am very true today by what I stand for, to show people. And if they think I'm crazy, I used to feel bad about this. I don't care anymore. I'm getting to that age that I'm passing my message on to the people that need to hear it. The ones that come along that don't, okay, I don't have a whole lot, I can't say I don't have a whole lot in common, but I really don't. And if they choose to make fun of me, although I don't know that they do that, I can't help that. It's okay. I have to be true to me and to the people that are hearing my message, because there are many people out there that need to hear that. I needed to hear it. I needed to hear it from Aldo. I opened up and I understand today a lot more I don't, but I'm ready to hear more.
And if Aldo were here with us right now, this moment, what would his message be?
He'd say, Sally, go ahead and do what you're doing. Be my mouthpiece. And that's what he used to say to me. And you know that, Margaret. You knew Aldo. He passed, but he's continuing to talk through me. And I'm giving him the message that he gave me. He told me before he departed that I was ready to pass this on over many different things. It's not just the loss of loved ones. That's an important message. But it's to help people to materialize things, to do many things, to be positive. Positivity is so very important because you're going to attract positive. If you go down, which negative is on a slightly lower vibration, you're going to attract from that vibration. So my message is try to be positive. Even if you don't feel it, just go ahead and fake it. It's so important. That's my message. And if people don't want to understand that, I can't help the world. I can help the ones that want to listen to me, and I will do everything that I can to help them. That's what I intend to do for the rest of my life. Anything to help somebody that wants to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm listening.
I know you are. We're getting married soon.
We are?
Yes. So that's my message today. I don't know how much more time we have, but is there another question, or if we have time for another question? Do we have time for another question? Where did Dawn? Freddie, are you still here? Okay. Have you got one more question? Or? I think we have a few more minutes. Do we have a question? Well, I think we're all questioned out. Okay. All righty. Thank you, everybody, and please listen to my show next week. Have a happy, happy Thanksgiving. You can contact me, Sally Bernard at sallybernard1111@gmail.com. If you have any messages or anything that you want to ask me, please feel free to email me. My show is every Monday at 3 o'clock, and I think we have one more message.
Why did you pick 1111 to put after your name and your email address?
Because that's my numbers, 1111. I opened up immediately when I started to realize, and you can relate, yes.
I just asked that because I have a group of friends and everybody's like, hey, 1111, hey, 1111, hey,
1111.
1111.
I actually had that in my first book from 20-something years ago, before anybody even began to understand that. I studied 1111 and the book, Solara, who wrote that for many, many years. Today I see the messages in that.
I'm a 369 fanatic, so I try to match everything up 369.
Right. It's very dear to me, that number. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody, and hope to see you this time next week. Okay, and feel free to email me. It's Thanksgiving, yeah. Oh, I did. I already did that. I wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving, okay? And I'll see you next week. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving, okay? Bye-bye. Coincidence or not, it's time to trust your intuition and knowings. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Bernard, and you can find my book, artwork, and contact through artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week. This has been Call Me Zena.